In real estate, there's two employment agreements, one the listing and the other a buyer representation agreement. Let's see how a buyer representation agreement goes with this agent and a potential client.
Thank you so much for meeting with me today. I understand that you're looking to buy a house.
Yes, I am. If I want you to help me find a home to buy, how does that work?
Well, we first need to understand how I'm going to represent you. There are a couple different agreements or contracts that we can look over.
Okay, is it required that I sign a contract for your help?
Think about this agreement as an employee contract. You are hiring me to work for you. Depending on what agreement you go with is going to decipher how our working relationship will continue.
Okay, go on.
Well, let's first talk about the exclusive buyer representation. In this agreement, you, the buyer, will work with only one broker, which would be me. However, I will still have the ability to represent other buyers.
Okay, what if I want to see a house and you're not available? Why would I want to choose that exclusive option?
If I'm not available for whatever reason, I would have my licensed assistant step in to show you different homes. If you hire me as your exclusive buyer agent, I will represent your best interest as the buyer only. You want me looking out for your interest rather than the seller's interest, I would imagine.
Yes, of course.
Well, and this type of agreement provides you with the highest level of protection and service. I will keep your motives and financial information confidential. I will negotiate exclusively on your behalf. I will keep all of my fiduciary duties to you, and I will represent you ethically.
Great, I appreciate that. What other types of agreements are there?
There is a non-exclusive representation agreement.
Tell me more about that.
In a non-exclusive representation agreement, a buyer can work with two or more brokers, which may create a problem if more than one buyer suggests the same property. These agreements work best if the buyer is considering a purchase in more than one geographic area, because each broker's familiarity with a particular area will help find the property that best suits the buyer.
Okay, I think I want the exclusive option. And if I choose that option, what is your commission?
Well, first and foremost, and it's always negotiable as far as commission goes, but I think it would be best if we were to decipher all the different services that I can provide, and then we can discuss compensation later on.
Okay, great.
If you want to make money in the real estate business, you're going to have to be able to enter into these employment agreements, like this buyer representation agreement, or like a listing. And when you go into the buyer representation agreement, we know that there's exclusive, which many will argue is the best way to take a representation agreement, because it assures you that you're going to get paid no matter what home the buyer selects. There's also then the open buyer representation agreement, which may have you competing with other brokers trying to show that buyer homes in many different markets. And understand, it may create a situation where if two different brokers show the same property, where that could be a conflict, because depending on how the agreements are written, that buyer may owe you both a commission on that property. So be aware of what's involved in these employment agreements, and especially with the buyer represent for exclusive or open, cover it yourself so you know it, and cover it with your clients so they know what their responsibilities are too.